Welcome back to Casa Fuzetta, the House of Stories, with me, Tara.
And me, Kate.
In Season 2, we take a deep dive into the magical world of workations.
And creativity.
And creativity. And in this episode, I travel ahead of our workationers because I'm taking them and introducing them to the wonderful, my favourite, my lovely friend, artist Meinke Flesseman, and we're going to show everybody her incredible gallery, studio, and exceptional palacete. You will understand what a palacete is very shortly.
Yes, I learned a new word.
Context. We are at Meinke Flesseman's beautiful gallery and her apartment within the beautiful. What do you call this? Is it an old palacio?
You can call it a palace. It's a big house, but then a Portuguese person with knowledge about this, no, you actually, it is a palacio. Palacete.
A palacete.
Palacete. It's a small version of a palace.
In the old town
Yes.
of Portimão.
In the old town of Portimão.
Which is actually, for Jonathan, if my husband, who's might be listening, is in the Rua Infante Don Enriquez.
Exactly.
So for us, again, yet another connection to Prince Henry. And you were probably one of the very first people that I met in Olhão. And one of my favourites, still one of my favourites. So we had to do a podcast. I've been wanting to do a podcast with you from the beginning of the idea of doing a podcast series and the House of Stories and all of the amazing people and the talent and so we had to come and see you. And of course, to begin with, you were in Olhão. Certainly when I met you were in Olhão, but you're now in Portimão.
Exactly.
And I suppose we might as well start with, why did you leave us?
Oh! Why did I leave? I didn't want to leave. That's the strange thing. And actually I left because I was in a relationship at the time and we kept doing this back and forth of an hour and a half, almost 2 hours drive, etc. So we decided to simplify and say, okay, we choose to live closer together. It was a little bit of a tug of war, which I lost. So it had nothing to do with where I wanted to live initially. But then I made peace with it because I fell in love with this house and it wouldn't let me go. They kept calling me back and I kept visiting it. I said, okay, for you, I will leave Olhão. Okay, you win. That's more or less what happened.
And it is the most spectacular space. I was lucky enough to see it when he just bought it. And it was a bit like Casa Fuzetta. It was not in great shape. But... And I happen to know, because we've obviously been back over the years, that you've been bringing it back to life. And that process has taken how long, roughly?
It relatively quick. It doesn't feel quick because I've been living in the renovation, which I don't recommend anyone. It's almost cost me my sanity. But it's been 2.5 years, which isn't much considering the state it was in.
But also considering the scale of it, because how many thousand square meters do you think it is?
Officially it's 1,200 square meters of covered area plus 450 of outdoor area.
So very similar to Casa Fuzetta actually in terms of size. But
yeah.
You, however, have your studio.
Yes.
You have a gallery.
Yes.
You have your private apartment.
Yes.
And then, tell me what I'm missing.
No, and then 2 very big apartments on the first floor.
Which are truly spectacular. I have had the privilege of seeing those, which you rent for long-term rentals.
Yes, long-term.
Long-term
medium.
rentals. As long as you can get.
Exactly. Right now I've got people for a week, which is a short-term rental, but it's a minimum of 1 week. But medium term, that would be ideal, or I'm open to long term. My ideas have changed, like the house has changed in the meantime since the first day that I've been walking around in it, thinking of what to do with it. And ideas keep coming and they change, and it's a process. It's like a painting. It calls for more blue in one corner, and then it affects the overall thing. So, and now I'm thinking of what probably my soul likes most is the idea of artistic retreats, like artistic residencies. And I'm exploring that. It's early days, but it can be a mix. One of the apartments and one section of the house can be dedicated to artistic residencies, and one of the apartments can be for the other holiday makers
or people coming to explore. Because I remember when we talked about it last year that I thought it was such an... I mean, it's the most... For anybody interested in art or aesthetics and design, it's the most spectacular space in its own right. But also, obviously, there are a lot of people now exploring, coming to live in Portugal. And I always thought, and we were talking about it, it's a wonderful base to go from here up to Lisbon or into the Alentejo or other places within the Algarve.
Exactly. Really easy access on the motorway, either north or east or west. It's a big town. It's the biggest town in the Algarve.
Oh, is it?
It is. Okay. It's bigger than Faro.
Yeah.
Yes, in terms of population. And
when we were talking last time, you were saying maybe the sort of creative community might revive here in the same way as you were very central to the revival of a creative community in Olhão. And I've noticed in stalking you on Instagram, I'm getting the feeling that's starting to bubble up. Is that right?
Yes, it's really exciting because just 3 years ago, there was nothing in this street. And now we are 3 galleries in a row.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. I haven't had a chance to have a look at the front door yet.
They're not always open. But anyway, the spirit is there. It's literally 3 galleries in a row with a kebab shop in the middle.
Naturally. Why would... Artists need to eat.
Exactly. Quick food.
And is that Portuguese artists or is it people from other countries?
These 2 galleries, my next door neighbor, she's American, and the other gallerist is Portuguese, so
a bit of both.
Yes, a bit of both. And there's more stuff happening now in Portimão that I'm aware of, and there's more faith, and
they're seeing the light.
And still, a lot of people say, "Oh, Portimão, I never think of going there," but actually, once you're in here and you walk around, it's magic. I have to defend Portimão because it is beautiful. It's got the most incredible mix of architecture, especially here in this old area. It's surprising the mixture of architectural styles and from elegant to more humble housing.
And a bit like, maybe a little bit like Faro, where we did a tour recently with the guys from Modernist Faro.
Yes.
And it just makes you open your eyes to things that otherwise you just walk past.
Exactly.
And you don't appreciate actually the heritage or the stories behind these buildings. Sometimes you think, oh, they don't look very nice. But then actually, if you look more closely, it's extraordinary. And then you see the history of the town through the architecture. One building is brutalist, but the next one is more Belle Époque, and then next door to that is modern or Art Nouveau, and it's just like all next to each other. It's really...
It's exciting, and once you open to, or you start seeing that way, because the modernists, they were here too in Portimão. Portimão, they find that as one of the best examples too.
Oh, okay.
So
they came to do a tour here recently as well, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. And then they ended up in the gallery, which is, my house is definitely not a modernist house, but the finishing party was here. So that was really good.
How can I say? You do have a very generous space, event space here.
Exactly, it's good for events. So and also Portimão has so many buildings that are begging to be picked up, and It would be amazing for artists, or even an art fair. I imagine art fair here it's got all the space and the size and the logistics.
Guys, if you're listening,
Exactly.
we're waiting for an art fair in Portimão, centred based from Meinke's gallery.
No, absolutely. It's not far off being discovered like that.
You're a painter and a ceramicist, or that's what I know you as. You might tell me that you've added another string to your bow since I last visited. The giggles suggest yes. What did I miss?
No, that's about right.
Okay. But you've also been welcoming other creatives to host workshops and things here.
Yes.
So,
yeah, exactly. Hosting events here or being open to that. I don't know if that has a name or as a...
Yes, it's facilitating a whole sort of creative community and expression. Yes, because you had an event, I couldn't come, but you had an event where there was a sort of foodie and music event. There was a particularly provocative name for it, I think, that I can't remember. That was last summer.
Yes.
That was all about, was it food porn?
Food porn, exactly. So that kind of registered in people's minds.
Yes, it did.
What is that? What is she doing? It was quite innocent, but it was a food event, and
yeah, but it was fun.
Yeah,
it was playful, and that's very much you.
Yes.
You know, never taking things too seriously.
No, they evolve, and it's a little bit of a play here and there, and it triggers other ideas for more things to do. I'm definitely very open to anything to do with food. I think food and art go really well together.
Yes, and maybe wine, because we're going to...
Totally.
We're going off later to go and see the Mercado de Quintão, so we do that.
Wonderful.
Sometimes with a sort of collaboration with the local vineyards.
Yes.
Yeah, that's always cool.
A lovely place. Yeah.
And in fact, going back though to the idea of playfulness, tell us the stories of why all the animal paintings.
The animals are they came into my paintings maybe about 20 years ago already. It happened once when I was working on a family portrait commission, and it was a challenge because I was still earlier on in my painting as a career. So I would say, I want to please say yes to all the requests, and I was getting a bit frustrated with, okay, make me a bit younger or thinner or give me more hair.
Everybody was being a little demanding. It's like...
So I went for a walk, and I lived in the countryside, and I was just enjoying just not being in the studio that day. And I saw this herd of goats, and they all stopped what they were doing, which was probably eating, and they looked at me straight in the face and with a twinkle. We won't give you a hard time if you paint us.
Yay! And the rest, as they say, is history.
I darted back off to my studio and I started painting goats.
And they're gorgeous, and we love them, and they're very cheeky, and sometimes they have names.
They have names, and they're cheeky, and they're independent, and they still do what they like, and they're playful. Anyway, they make me feel happy. And also I grew up with a goat and a donkey and chickens and cats, so it's very much part of my growing up here.
No, so yes, because you, as people might gather from your name, you're not...
I'm not Portuguese.
You're not born Portuguese. You are Portuguese, I think. I don't know what your passport says, but you have become rooted in Portugal, I would say.
Yes, this is definitely my home. Although I am Dutch, but yeah.
And I love the story about how you came here.
Yes, I was 2 years old when I came here with my parents.
Oh, 2? Yeah. I always had you just a little.
There's maybe different variations of the same story.
Well, that's all right. In our family, they always say truth should never get in the way of a good story.
I was definitely 2 years old, so this is quite a long time ago by now. My parents came here. This was before the revolution here in Portugal, so it was very early on. And they came here as it was one of those places that wasn't discovered yet as a destination for traveling or for holidays. People knew about Spain and about Greece, about Italy, but not Portugal. That wasn't talked about. So they came here. Faro Airport had just opened.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So they came here with the idea, we'll do one last trip in Europe before we immigrate to Canada. The thing is, they never made it to Canada.
They fell in love with the Algarve. Yeah.
Totally fell in love with the Algarve and got talked into. There's lots of stories. My mum would be much better at telling them, but they got talked into.
Season 3 will come on.
Yes.
Interview. I've never met your mum.
Oh, funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's got lots of stories, and she actually wrote a book.
Oh,
The Path
okay.
to Calisto. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, about our life here.
Is it still published?
No,
Is
it's
it
not.
still in print?
No, but she did her own version of
Self-publishing.
Self-publishing.
Yes, we know all about that. We still got a few copies to sell.
So she illustrated it too. She's an artist as well.
Okay.
So there's...
If they didn't emigrate to Canada, what did they do here? Especially at that time, as you say. So that would have been late 60s?
Late 60s, yeah. It was in 68, 69. They both just finished university and they had their degrees and they ended up here not using any of that. My father was economics and my mother was languages, French and Latin and Greek. When they arrived here, they were talked into buying a piece of land with a ruin on it, and that's it, and trees. And this was how it started. So they started slowly renovating with their own hands, and we lived in a caravan because we had no house. So we lived in a caravan for 2 years, water from the well, and my sister and I would often play and sleep over at the neighbors and play with their kids. So we learned Portuguese very fast while my parents were kind of organizing a place to live in, which was our little house.
That must be where your affinity and your skills for renovating properties, because...
Maybe. I never thought of it that way. Thank you, Tara.
But yes, it started, you had experience of living in a building site and renovations from the earliest of ages.
That's it.
It just feels, it's normal for you.
That's it. I suppose my daughter does the same and my sister does the same. That's where we get it from. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Carrying on a family tradition.
Anyway, my parents were doing this and they had lots of friends from their studies times and from university. And about once a week they were able to communicate to Holland, because you couldn't just pick up a phone.
Oh, yeah.
Those phone calls were arranged at the post office with a specific time, and
the world has changed
black and white movies.
so much. Yes. Yes, I want to book a call.
So this is a special event, having contact with the outside world. Basically, my parents said to one of their friends, "Come and see us. It's amazing here. It's beautiful. The sun shines all the time. But please bring a tent because we don't have a house." Yet. So this is how it happened. Those friends came, and as it was late 60s, it was that spirit of campfires, guitars, and the stars, and it was all very happy and great memories. But that's how it developed into a campsite.
Okay.
Because of these stories.
Oh, okay. So then they ran a campsite, did they? So
the house became our home, but they built a bar there, an outdoor kitchen. Okay. Started cooking for their friends, and more people came. And then a lot of Portuguese people started coming.
Oh, okay.
And mind you, this is before the revolution, so it was a dictatorship. Many of those people were highly educated and very curious about foreigners and what foreign life. There would be amazing conversations, which my mother could tell. with incredible intellectuals and writers and politicians. Yeah.
Amazing.
So it wasn't a regular campsite.
No, I suppose it's your sort of your salon, but outside.
Exactly.
A salon in nature.
Perfect. Yeah.
Love it. When did you first explore that creative side of you? Or was it because your mum was always a painter, you were painting from an early age?
Yes, I always, because we had no toys to play with, they weren't even available then. I think it was even hard to buy a bar of chocolate. It was literally another world.
Yeah. A little reminder for everybody that dictatorships are hard.
Yes.
Are hard. Yeah. Don't walk into one. It feels apt to say this now.
Yeah.
Don't walk into one with your eyes closed. You will regret it.
Yeah.
In Portugal, it feels like hopefully the hangover of the Salazar years lasted quite a long time. Most people, certainly over the age of 40 here, would remember the consequences of having a dictatorship.
Yeah, but it stays in the DNA. It takes a lot of generations to take it out.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll move on to lighter things. But no toys, but paintbrushes and lots of paint.
Not even paintbrush, but just playing with inventing things. When you have no toys, you invent things.
Yeah.
That's the irony. It opens up creativity, whether it's creativity or just the process of working with your hands to create something that's useful, or it triggers, it loosens up something. That's how I see it now. It's definitely not something I was aware of then. And also for me, it was a great escape from if I was going through difficult times and in different decades. Anything to do with creativity would be, I could say, it was an escape as well. And maybe it still is.
And I find I'm at very baby steps of exploring that creative side as somebody who'd always been told, no, you're the academic one.
Oh,
yeah. What I love about when I pick up a brush is it's so meditative in the sense that you literally forget everything, all the challenges of the outside world for 2-3 hours. You're just in it. It's an amazing practice, regardless of whatever comes of it.
Yes.
You just get completely lost in it. And it's really good for the soul. So I think, the challenge for me is, because it hasn't been my comfort zone, Mike's been doing the sort of what you would go is like all the organising things, and not even analytical, but the more sort of businessy side. I'm prone to fall into doing those things rather than actually going off and going, no, that all of that can wait, and I want to do the creative stuff.
Yeah, it's like the left side of the brain and the right side of the brain. So you've chosen. You were in one. But when I first met you, I said, you're an artist. You said, that was, many years ago. Yeah. You said, no, you brushed it off. I remember this. But what you do is art. What you're doing, you're such a creator. You're such an amazing creator.
No, thank you. Yeah, but...
And also, as it's like a bowl or a recipient for creatives and the feel-good that it generates, that's art.
Just in a different... Well, now I think I feel ready to own that a little bit more. But that's the thing. If you're told for 50 years or 45 years by the time we came that you're not, or you're not allowed to play with the creatives, it sinks in. So it takes a long time to go, actually, no, I am. And I love it. And I love being able to see people flourish and to tap in. And it's wonderful because we've got some artists with us on the workation and really go, it's amazing. I'm here, and it's like they're literally putting their finger in the electricity socket of how creative and what's coming to them and how they're channeling stuff and how alive they feel and tapped into their creative spark. And you go, that's what it's about. Yes. That's what it's about, is enabling that. And it's interesting because actually I say that artists, one is an artist in the conventional sense that she paints, illustrates and poetry, and one is she's a film director and script writer, and Nora does interiors and furniture and set design and all sorts of multidisciplinary approaches. Again, as you were saying, creativity means all sorts of different things.
It is.
One's ability to draw perfection.
Yeah.
Which, as a kid, that's what you were tested on.
Yeah, which is a shame. It's a shame because that's the creativity killer, I find. It's useful to know the theory or how to measure or proportions or perspective, have some basics, but it's depressing to see also in education here in Portugal at school, kids still are just having to color in between the lines. They're not even creating their own ideas. And then no, that's wrong. You have to do it like this: pink there and blue there within those lines. It's shocking to me.
Yeah, you're just no lines and definitely not painting within them.
I'd love to do something for kids here. I mean, maybe not me personally teaching kids, because I don't feel I'm a teacher, but to get people to teach here. I'd love to run workshops here to unleash creativity through your hands and through seeing, touching, sharing, etc.
But tell me about some of those workshops that you have been hosting here.
No, I'm slowly doing things, but sometimes I fantasize this should be an art school, full-on art school.
Yay!
And for local kids or people, no, it doesn't have to be kids, but it can be adults. And upstairs I could do workshops with people coming from abroad and board and etc. All
So
those
again,
things
guys,
are up
you
in
heard
there.
it here first. Just reach out to Meinke.
Bubbling with ideas.
Be careful what you wish for. It happens. It happens.
Yeah. So at one point something will become more concrete of which direction it will go in. But it's sometimes I have to rein myself in with ideas, because I probably need more that side that you've developed very well, which is the organizational side. Delegation, organizational is something I haven't really... I've told myself over the years that I'm not able to do that, but maybe
but you have demonstrated that you most certainly can.
Maybe it's not as bad as I imagined it to be.
You couldn't have restored this enormous property in 2.5 years and made it as beautiful as you did. And may I say, you've been prolific in your painting as well through all of that time.
Yeah.
It's not like you stopped painting.
No, but maybe it was as an escape. Just I don't want to deal with this problem in the building, so I'm locking myself up in my studio. It actually has been a bit like that. Some phases were like that. I would just escape into my work.
Your work is beautiful, and you're sending it to all corners of the world?
I suppose so, yes. A lot to Northern Europe, to different countries. Maybe they take some of the light here.
Yeah.
Some of the liveliness of the animals, or an urban setting. I don't know. It's an energy. I think sometimes it's not even what's depicted on the painting. I think that maybe they take a little part of...
Yeah, nice idea. I'm drifting into my sort of commercial brain, which sort of the seasons, because every season almost you seem to have a new series of paintings. The goats are wonderful. I remember when we first met, you had the veiled ladies. They were stunning. And then you've had a flamingo series, which we love. But you've had various seasons. And actually thinking about the flamingos, of course, actually what we love is that the friendships have spread, and you've met Louisa, the founder of La Eva.
Yeah.
And now your artwork is featured within the labels of La Eva. And in fact, we've had a multiple of collaborations. We had your Swimmers series, which is fabulous, on the salts from a blend of Algarvian flor de sal and Himalayan pink salt, which everybody loved. And now we've got your flamingos as part of Roseum, which is the signature best-selling lines. And then you did another one.
Dragonfly reflection, water reflections. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So is that with the new scent, Linden?
Still being developed, or is it?
Oh no, it's out. It's out and proving super popular.
Oh, I feel so honoured.
Oh, we love it. We love it that we can all work together and collaborate on something new. And then yes, Pedro and Luisa, the goats, on the. They're so chicken. I love that we have the little names and.
Yeah, they are. I think they're probably visually my favorites from the ones that have been used for my work. It's the goat, the pedo especially.
Yes.
Full
Well,
on
they
goat.
are so popular. We'll include links in the show notes so that you can see them. But yeah.
Yeah.
And what are you working on at the moment?
It's interesting that when you said all the different various subjects, I'm jumping back into portraiture.
Oh, yes,
So,
because you were
yes.
doing some life drawing.
It's not with the idea of selling. I'm really exploring the humanness with paint. Also because of these life drawing sessions of just being inspired by the human form and the expression and the emotion and the translation of it, and the way I'm doing it now, the technique I'm using, I'm motivated at the moment.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
That's
I've had some phases of maybe overly tired from this whole process, that it caught up with me after the building, not during. I was managing quite well. So
Well, you're operating on pure adrenaline to get it done.
Yes. And all those levels were high. And now I'm sinking more into a quieter way of working and taking more time, or working smaller as well.
Oh, okay.
So
Yes, because you do some big pieces.
yeah, I can't afford to buy another house at this stage.
Yes, you're running out of wall space.
This is probably what happened, because it's so connected. It's not conscious, but my canvases got bigger and bigger because my walls got bigger and bigger.
But not necessarily everybody else's.
No, I know people struggle. Well, I've got a nice wall, but that's probably, even for that, it's too big. But it depends on the mood. Sometimes it's really expansive and I want to take up a whole wall, which I do with tile murals.
You were commissioned to do some big tiled
Yes.
walls for restaurants and bars. And,
Yes.
I saw you did another one recently. How many 100 pieces was that?
Well, maybe about 900.
That's
or more.
big.
I have to recalculate. The most recent one, which is for a restaurant in Villamoya, in Marina, it's more than 400 tiles, and that felt small comparing to the other one. So the other one is probably about 900. Yeah,
that's pretty impressive. Well, I'm going to say thank you very much.
Thank
but
you,
I think
Tara.
our workationers are about to arrive and descend on you and go. And maybe we should record the oohing and ahhing that I know is going to come as they walk through the door. I know that's going to happen because they're going to be have their mind blown.
Thank you, Tara. I would have loved to have been in this vacation thing, but I live so near, so I'd have to take my studio.
We'll do it next year.
I love what you're doing there. Yeah, fantastic.
Cool. In the show notes, I've added links for you to be able to find more about Meinke, her gallery, her workshops, and also her beautiful apartments that are available to rent. Just saying, if anybody's
They are
looking,
gorgeous.
especially if anybody's looking to move or explore the possibility of moving to Portugal.
Oh, great idea.
Casa Melchior, her apartments, it's a wonderful place to base yourself from. And in our next episode, we are going to meet one of your oldest and dearest friends.
Yes, indeed. Jane Mackey, founder of Aurora Dairy. And I think one of the reasons I've enjoyed the session with Jane is she's a first-timer to workations, and she gave us a really interesting insights into what it is to come to Olhão for the first time, so seeing it with fresh eyes, and the experience of workation, melding kind of commercial thinking with a creative environment, which really inspired her. So that was exciting and fun.
Yeah, great fun. Thank you for giving us the nudge, because also what was fabulous is that she booked because she'd been listening to the podcast.
That's right. And not knowing I was going to be there. And actually, I just loved that the two of you got on so well.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, she's my new BFF. As ever, we'd love to hear what you think of the series. And if you're enjoying it, of course, feel free to come along and book. I'll have links to the workations waiting list for next year. It's already filling up, so get in there quick. You can find a dedicated email address in the show notes where you can send me any questions. And of course, we'd be hugely grateful if you would subscribe to the series, give us a nice little rating, and generally spread the word and share it with your family and friends.
Absolutely. So it remains to say,
Até a próxima!
Até a próxima.